Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha, this is Rabbi Simon. Okay, so before we begin, we're going to pray and we're going to bring our request before God. Abba, I thank you that you have granted us this time to come before you and praise your name and to speak about your holy words. Father, I thank you for taking us through the week. Father, I thank you for taking us out safely and bringing us back safely. Father, I petition for all those people that are in fear, that are perhaps recovering from their injuries during these violent protests that happened in the UK. I pray for the nation of UK. I pray for wisdom in the nation. I pray for healing in the nation. This nation has so far strayed from you. Father, they have so far strayed from you and your Son that they don't know what they are doing. They have gone away from their first love. And today what we see, or what we saw in the last few days, was a result of reflecting on the path that they have chosen, which is devoid of Jesus, which is devoid of God, which is devoid of your scriptures. And so therefore the end result is there is a void, there is an emptiness. And that emptiness cannot be filled by anything. Rioting, breaking people's homes, calling immigrants out, evil, and telling them to go home, when clearly the UK are one such nation that has almost ruled many countries in the world. They rule many countries in the world, whether rightfully or wrongfully. They conquered the nations, whether deceitfully or honestly. They conquered all these nations, they ruled them. And now when those people come to this nation for bettering their lives, they're not coming here to rule the nation. They're not coming here to conquer the nation. They come here to better their lives. And now they're being told that you are not welcome over here. You are evil. You are taking our Britishness away. So Father, I pray for these people. I pray for understanding and wisdom, because there are great people in the UK as well. There are good people there that understand these things, and I pray that they will return back to their first love. That's where their healing is going to be. And if they don't return back to their first love, then Father, as you know and as you have said, the nation that forgets their God then has no future left. So if the UK wants a future, they have to return back to their first love. So Father, I pray for all these people that are perhaps got injured, and perhaps for these people that are very angry over the immigrants, that you bring healing to the whole nation. And Father, I pray for the US. I pray for the other nations, that we had this, kind of mini crash happening in Tokyo, mini crash happening in Korea, and partly in US last week, with the things that are happening in the Middle East, with the rumors of war and wars going on. I pray for healing for everybody. I pray for healing for our people. I pray for our people that are very faithful to you, that are doing everything that you desire for them to do. Father, you swiftly answer their call, you answer their prayer. And Father, I ask for healing for all these people. There are people are mentally disturbed, or people that are psychologically disturbed, or people, Father, that are wanting to serve you, but maybe they haven't received an answer all this time and they're upset. Father, I raise those people up before you, and I ask that you heal them, Father. I ask this in your holy name, in the holy name of Yeshua, Malaki Yeshua. Thank you, Father, that you keep us in line. Thank you. Amen. Amen. So, as you know, there's been wars, there's been rumors of wars, and there are, ongoing wars. There are rumors of stock market crashes. We see, typical mini crashes in different markets of the world because of troubles in the Middle East and other things going on. So, we continue to pray and we continue to petition that God will guide us and God will lead us in the right way to make the right choices. Now, before I continue to the main lecture, and the main lecture is going to be our Pasha's, let me see, we are on Pasha, let me get my Bible open. Yeah, we are on Exodus chapter 30, verse 11, which is Pasha Tissa. Okay, so before we get into that, I just want to speak a little bit about my testimony last week, in which I told you that I'm going back to Yeshua because I had an existential experience, second time in my life, with the person of Jesus. And I know that some of you may have found that difficult, because I was the person who said in 2015 that I do not think he's the Messiah. And yes, I admit that. And I'm only going to tell you that I can only apologize to you, but my apology is of no use. Because why? Because I lost family over this. Maybe some of you did as well, lose families over this. When we came into faith in Jesus, we lost families. I lost my wife, I lost my home, I lost my children. So I lost everything. So should I be complaining? No, I'm not complaining. And I'm not going to apologize to everybody over Jesus, because I just believe Jesus is the Messiah. Why? Because I had the experience back then. When 26 years ago, Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, spoke to me, I didn't have a problem with his voice. I followed him. And now, 26 years later, when I hear his voice again, what, you going to have a problem with me? No, I'm sorry, It's not like that. I have to be obedient to the voice of God. If God is showing me something, and what happened last week, there is no way in hell that thing could have, I had a big issue that I was facing in the UK, and I could not change that for a second. And that's why I brought that to Yeshua, Jesus, and I said, if you can fix that issue, then, I will believe that you are the Messiah, and I believe that you are Lord. Because I followed you back then, I will once again follow you, because that will be my testimony. And if nothing changes over there, which was 7,000 miles away, if 7,000 miles away everything remains the same, static, I will believe it's only my imagination. I'm sorry, it was only my imagination. It's not really the person of the Messiah. And so what happened? The next morning, just as I was asked, the problem in the UK just vanished like this. That's what I'd asked for. I asked that problem vanishes, and that vanished by the morning. And so therefore I had already said so, 3 a.m. in the morning, I already said to Jesus, Yeshua, I said to him that I will declare your name if you can deal with this issue and correct it. And he did, right? So I know that some of you might be upset with me, but listen, I was the one who lost my family. I was the one who lost my wife, and I never got my wife back. I never got my wife back. I never got my children back. Even to this day, I'm at a distance from them. I'm sure my son died, years ago my son died, he was ill. But my daughter, we're still like, maybe we speak once a year. And maybe it's because of what happened in the past. When I left, everything, and maybe my daughter feels bitter about it. And I'm not saying that she does or doesn't, but I'm just saying that it's possible that she feels bitter, that why did her dad just up and leave and go follow some character called Jesus and leave us behind. And so, those things do happen. And some of you, I'm not saying all of you, some of you are feeling the difficulty because you've been doing Torah, you've been doing everything in Torah that you're required to do. I'm not saying you didn't do it. You did everything. You sent the tithes to God, you did the prayers, you did the meditations, you did everything, but you haven't yet seen results. And so you're feeling disheartened, and you're thinking, hey, maybe I was doing something wrong. No, you're not doing nothing wrong. You did everything right. And just because Jesus comes along the way, and it happens to be that, he happens to be that he's there, and I can't deny him, but I couldn't lie about him and keep you in the dark. That would be even worse. So it's better to own up and tell everybody, look, I did have a problem at one point in my life where I questioned logically, not spiritually, not in any other way, but logically, I questioned some scriptures whether they were of the Messiah or not, and I didn't get satisfactory answers to those scriptures. So therefore, I said, okay, I'm not going to believe in that. till I see otherwise, and now I see otherwise. So you might say, well, why did you not believe at one time and believe now? Here is my answer for you. If a person like John, who was with Jesus in Jerusalem, and when he was in prison, if he can have a disbelieving moment and say, are you the one to come? And yet this person was with Jesus, saw the miracles, saw him turn the wine, and saw him do everything else. If he can question Jesus, what do you think? I can't question Jesus? I don't have a right to? So if John in Matthew 11, chapter 11, verse 2 says, when Yahoshua, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciples to ask him, are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else? Then Yeshua replied, go back and report to Yahoshua what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me. So Jesus did not say, oh, go look at Isaiah chapter 11. Go look at Isaiah chapter 7. It talks about me. He didn't say that. He said, look at my works. And I think this is where people like me can make a mistake, because what we start to do, we don't look at the work of Jesus. We start looking at the text that people claim is about Jesus, and we find that we can't make some sense of some of that text. And there's a good reason for some of that text not to be made sense, because it's not always talking about Jesus. It's talking about different people. So therefore, that's why if John, who was a cousin of Jesus, who sat with him, who ate with him, who saw all the miracles, can question him, sure, I can question him too. You can question him too. You can also say that, are you the Messiah, or am I to wait for somebody else? And sure enough, God in His mercy answered me and said, no, He is the Messiah, and this is the one you got to follow. This is the reason why I have students who believe in Jesus, and I have absolutely no problem with them. They know that. And I have students who don't believe in Jesus. They just believe in Moses, in the Torah. And I don't have problem with that. But I'm going to encourage you all to believe that Yeshua is the Messiah. I'm going to encourage you, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to follow. So I lay it out before you. You've gone with me all this far, and continue to go with me, and God will reward you. God will reward you in all of this. That Yeshua, like I said last week, I didn't just speak about my problem, I spoke about some of my students' difficulties as well to Yeshua Jesus. Yeah, I did speak to him about your difficulties as well. And I said to him that some of my students are struggling. They are having difficulty believing. They're having difficulty seeing results in their day-to-day lives. Some are struggling to get jobs. Some are struggling to make certain successes in certain areas. So, please, come and help those students as well. And I'm certain that you will be helped. But you got to stick in there. Hang in there. Don't give up. Hang in there. Okay, so it's not like the end of the world. Oh, yeah, just because I believed in Jesus, now it's the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. The life's got to continue. We've got to continue to follow. We've got to continue to observe. But we've got to look at the text that we try to figure out logically with a new set of eyes. Sometimes when we have a problem and we can't find a solution, what we do, we look at it with a new set of eyes, and then God can show us that we are making certain mistakes in certain areas. So now coming back to the Parsha, which is the Torah portion in the book of Exodus, chapters 30, verse 11, then Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh spoke to Moshe, saying, when you take the census of the children of Israel for their number, then every man shall give a ransom for himself to Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh when you number them, and there may be no plague among them when you number them. This is what everyone among those who are numbered shall give half a shekel according to the shekel of the Kadosh place. The half shekel shall be an offering to Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. Everyone, including among those who are numbered from 20 years old and above, shall give an offering to Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel when you give an offering to Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh to make atonement for yourselves. And we spoke about this particular offering happens just before Passover, around about the ceremony or the festival of, this is about in February time, when we have the festival of the incident in Persian Empire where Haman tried to wipe the Jews away, and we celebrate Purim, and we then have this offering during this time, half a shekel, which probably at this time is about maybe anywhere between $7 to $10 of our currency value, US $7 to $10. And it says, you shall take the atonement money of the children of Israel and shall appoint it for the services of the tent of the appointed times, that it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before you Yahoshua to make atonement for yourselves. And then it talks about making a laver of bronze, for the water. Its base also bronze for washing. You shall put it between the tent of the appointed times and the altar, and you shall put mime in it. So, there's different things that are talked about over here, that how we should have it in the home. And one of the things that I wish to tell you, which I think will be beneficial to help you, is that there are things in our home that maybe, I'm not saying they shouldn't be in our homes, maybe they are misplaced, or maybe they're creating negativity in which some of us are not aware of the negativity. And one way the negativity is created is if you have mirrors in the home, it can create negativity. And as I said last time, that we don't have two mirrors opposing each other, because that can open up portals, gateways to other worlds that can cause further problems. So what you do when you have a mirror in your home, and the mirror is like maybe in your bathroom, maybe it's in your kitchen, or maybe it's in your living room or somewhere else, or your hallway. What I want you to do is draw just with some water, just dip your right index finger in water, and just draw a Star of David in the mirror on one side of it, Star of David, and you seal it. And you prevent the negativity from coming out of that mirror. So do that to all the mirrors in your home. Now, how often do we do this? I think if you've done it one time, then that is fine. It's done. Now, if you did a spray on your mirror, like maybe, I don't know, once a month, you put some spray on your mirror and you cleaned it. If you did that, then you just redo that Star of David again to prevent that, because it would have removed that sign you put on there. Then you just redo it so it remains on one side of the mirror to keep the negativity away. That's one way to keep the negativity away in your home. I did discuss, and I'm going to ask you to do this again. There is something that you can do. What you do is you have to do this in a clay cup. So a small cup, it doesn't have to be a huge big cup, a small cup, clay cup. You take a clay cup, a clay glass, what I mean is a clay glass, and maybe you have a small container, or a container. A container will do, any clay container, not plastic, not glass, but clay. Any clay container, small in size, that can easily fit in your freezer. You pour milk in it, and you push it right at the back of your freezer, and nobody touches it. And that becomes solid, and you leave it there for 40 days. And every 40 days you replace it. You throw away the old and you put the new. What that does, it generates abundance for you in your home. And it continues to generate abundance, but you got to leave it there. So that's one thing. We did speak about having rice in the home. And I said that, if you don't carry, if you're not an eater of rice, most people eat rice, some don't. Maybe they eat different things. And if you're an eater of rice, then I said that if you have a 5 kilo bag, maybe you use 5 kilos for your daily, use that you run through the week, and then you buy it again when it runs out. Then maybe you buy 2 5 kilo bags and you keep one in the home, which brings in blessings, and you use the other. So when the first one finishes, you go to the next 5 kilo bag. It doesn't have to be 5 kilos. It could be 2.5 kilos or 5 kilos, the smaller weights. Now, if that's something you can't do because you don't eat rice, then what you can do, just take a handful of rice, put it in a small pouch, any kind of clean cloth, doesn't matter the color, it could be any color, white, blue, yellow, red, any cloth. You put the rice in there in a small pouch, and you keep that in one side of your home, maybe in your cabinets. You keep it to one side, maybe in your drawer. What I do myself, I take a pouch of rice. I have this little pouch that came from one of my chargers. These chargers that you can plug different plugs in, international charger. You can plug 4 or 5 types of plugs in there. It had a zipper little pouch. So I took the pouch and I filled it with rice, and I zipped it up, and I put it in my cabinet, in my clothes cabinet, and I leave it there on one side. So you can do that too. You can do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be cloth pouch. It can be some other pouch made of some other other material, leather, cloth, etc. And that will work as well. So I just keep the rice there, and they've been sitting there maybe for over a year, and after a year I may change that to the new rice, but they won't go off. So you can do that, and just keep a pouch of rice. I suggest a small amount of rice, small amount of lentils, a small amount of sugar, and then I also suggest a small amount of salt. Okay, so these 3 or 4 items you keep in small pouches to one side of your home, where they're not going to be disturbed, and they're going to be there to serve you, because they're going to bring abundance into your home. And salt, I recommended that you put a salt lamp, any salt lamp. They are inexpensive, can easily be bought in any of these stores, and they are great for removing negativity as well and cleaning up the air in the home. And I think that some of you already have those lamps. And you can also, it doesn't have to be a lamp, it could be something made of salt, like a figurine, like something else, like maybe small writing or something. Like what I do in my home, I have it as I have a big salt, pink salt one, and in the US I have the lamp, but back home I have it as it's like a bowl, like those World Cups. You have a World Cup and it's got this little trophy shape with a bowl on it. That's what I got in my home. Back home it's like a World Cup figurine, and I just put that in my it's in my living room. So I keep that there as a piece of salt. Very inexpensive to buy, of course. Back home they're fairly inexpensive, so only cost $3-4 to buy. So you can again do similarly, put a lamp, and that's good enough. Now I want to emphasize that perhaps over the years since 2020 or earlier, I've given you several exercises. Now I want you not to be overwhelmed with all the exercises. I want you to only focus on 4 exercises from now on. The first exercise I want you to focus on in the morning is you take a note, a $10 note, and you hold it in both hands, in the left hand from the left corner and the right hand from the right corner, and you close your eyes and you speak the words, "Get me money." It's a money meditation. You say, "Get me money," and then you can specify, or you can leave it open. And if you're looking for a job, you can say, "Get me a job," and then you can specify your salary you desire. Get me a job, and then whatever salary you desire. If you've got a cryptocurrency, or if you've got something else, you can say, "Sell my cryptocurrency for X amount of money." You have stocks, "Sell my stock for X amount of money, sell my stock for X amount of money," etc. You can make that request to the $10 note, and that will work for you. Now you do that a couple of times in the morning, like for about a minute each in the morning, and the same number of times in the evening after 8 p.m. twice in the evening. If you do two times in the morning and 2 times in the evening for about 2 minutes. So 1 minute each in the morning, 1 minute each in the evening, and you're done. Okay? That exercise doesn't need to be tested, it works. Number 2, first exercise in the morning. Number 2, of course, your prayers will be whatever you pray, whatever Psalms you want to read, you do those according to the Spirit. And there's lots of different readings in the Forever-Israel Siddur that you can pick up on that. So the number 2 exercise I want you to do is I want you to write your list. I don't want you to write lengthy affirmations. No. Your scripting should only be a list, and a list will be what you want to happen within the year, within 1 to 2 years, whatever you want. That could be maybe you want to have a home, maybe you want to have a new car, maybe you want to have a phone, a laptop, etc. Those kind of items, or a sum of money. And then you write that list every day, and you say, okay, just write the number. Just new phone, new home, $500,000 in the bank, or $5 million in the bank, and then you can put down new makeup for the wife, new clothes for the wife. Then you can write down other things that you desire. Means that you're going to have 8 to 10 items on there, and you just write those every day. You just date it and write those every day. It takes you no more than 2-3 minutes to write. That's your third exercise. Your fourth exercise, which is also a short one, is if you got to ask yourself the question, are you a person who has had results with robotic affirmations? If the answer is yes, then you can run those for 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night, 30 minutes total, if you're a person who's had results with them. If you're a person who says, hey, I saw no result with robotic affirmations in the past, then just fast forward and you can go to visualization, imagination. Then you can just run an imaginative scene, like maybe you want to have a new apartment, and you close your eyes and you see that you're in your new apartment. If you're married, you're telling your wife, this furniture is really nice. I love the furniture in our home. I like the drawing room is really great. You imagine yourself, you already have it. You're sitting there. You already conquered that dream. And if you don't have a wife, you're single, then you may be talking to your friend, maybe you're talking to your mom, somebody that is close to you, you're talking to them in your home, you already have it. If it's a car, you're already sitting in the car, you're driving it, and you already have the car, and you're being grateful that, you are doing the things that people do with cars, going for a drive, taking your wife out, etc. And things are working great for you. So the imaginative act that you do for your car, for your home, for that sum of money that you see that is on your mobile app, I want you to do that 7 to 10 times a day for about a minute each time. Okay? So that will be you keep your focus. You keep your focus on the amount, and you're going to keep seeing that every couple of hours. You just repeat that exercise of seeing the amount. If it's a sum of money, you see the amount on your web, on your mobile app. And if it's if you have a paper type account where you get statements, you just see the statement with that sum of money on it. In fact, what you can do is you can fake a statement. You can cross out the amount on there, and you can put the amount you desire to see in your bank. Like, if you desire to see $10 million in your bank, put $10 million in your bank, rub the previous amount out. You can do it on any paint app, and then you can just print it out, put it before you, or put it on your phone, and you can just look at it every couple of hours. You look at it, and you just imagine, you close your eyes and you just imagine that you have that amount there. Focus on it for a minute. The more you focus on it, the more it's going to try to come into your 3D world. The more you focus on it, you see your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between real and imaginary. It doesn't know. If you told your subconscious mind that I have it and it's there now, and you have the feeling means that you believe it, and you have the little excitement. Excitement doesn't mean you're jumping all over the place. It just means that you're comfortable, you're happy, you're at peace. And if you feel a little bit, you feel at peace, you feel happy that you have the amount there to use as you desire, your subconscious will also believe that, because you are penetrating your conscious, and you're showing your subconscious that I have that amount, that I have it, and it's there for me available for me to use. And so it works like that. And so therefore you can do it for a car, you can do it for a sum of money, you can do it for a job, you can do it for many things. So you just got to use your brain muscle to exercise 7 to 10 times a day to do that. And that's the only exercises I want you to do. I want you to do no other exercises. You do your, regular prayers 1 time a day in the morning. I'm not asking you to pray 3 times a day. You don't need to, because it's not always easy to pray 3 times a day, when especially people are working or busy. You can do your prayer 1 time a day. That's sufficient. And if you can do it twice, prayer doesn't mean that you're there begging God for the next half an hour. Prayer simply means that you come before God, you give thanks to God for your day, you give gratitude. Gratitude is prayer. You give gratitude. Maybe you read a couple of psalms, maybe you read a portion of any portion of the Bible that you desire, and you give thanks to God and you thank Him for your life. That's prayer. Okay, prayer is nothing more difficult than that. So once you've done that, your day is done. And the way to build your muscle of your brain, how do we build the muscle? The way we build our muscle is what we do. Before we go to bed, we sit up, we close our eyes, and we look back on our day. We go back all the way to the time we woke up, and we count everything in our mind that happened between waking up and to the time you're sitting at the end of your day. Now there may be things, this is called revision. Revision will strengthen your brain muscle. It's like doing exercise, doing weight training, building your biceps. You do reps of 8 times 2 or 8 times 3, and then you start to build your muscle. Similarly, you build your brain muscle by doing that. You do the exercise, you go back all the way to the morning, and then you come to the forward, and maybe there was something in the morning or something that happened in the afternoon you don't like. Maybe you expected an interview, and the interview didn't show up. Maybe you were meant to get a new job, and the new job was given to somebody else. And what you can do with that revision part, you can go back and imagine that actually went in your favor. That the interview went in your favor, the job went in your favor, and you did get the job. So you got to keep repeating that, because you are doing the repetitive exercise, telling your subconscious that this is done, that I have it. And then the subconscious will say, oh, he already has it. Now the subconscious will go. That subconscious makes a connection with God. It knows the easiest and the fastest way to produce that result. And the subconscious will go to God, and it will come back and say, the fastest way to produce is X, Y, Z. And it will produce it for you, and you will have it. So whether it's a car, whether it's an apartment, whether it's a salaried job, whether it's a business, you got to do it. I would encourage you also, some of you who are trying to be traders, how do you become a good trader? It's not always with a system. How about in your mind, in your subconscious, you tell yourself you're a great trader, and you see yourself as a great trader. How about you see yourself winning trades? How about you see yourself making money? A certain amount of money every day. Maybe you see yourself making $1,000 a day. Set a goal. Set a goal that you see yourself making $1,000 a day. Whether that's Forex, whether that's futures, whether that's stocks, it doesn't matter, because the end result is the same. And if you look in your mind's eye and you look like you got $1,000 deposited in your account every day, or once a week you got $5,000 coming in, and be like, okay, great, I made $5,000 by the end of the week, and you see that, and then the subconscious will be like, hey, this man is getting $5,000 a week, but technically you're not. But then what the subconscious will do, it will make the right connections, it will find the right area for you to become successful in trading and give you that $5,000, because it has to either find you the right teacher or the right tools, the right method, that you will become successful. You'll be producing that $5,000. No problem. But you got to see it. You got to see it in your mind's eye. Don't be, don't have don't have a defeatist attitude, and don't ever say to yourself, oh, I'm a failure. I'm a failure as a husband. I'm a failure as a father. I'm a failure as a trader. I'm a failure as a whatever you do, right? That's the worst thing you do yourself. You do yourself a disservice by doing that. Everybody in life, let me be very clear. Everybody in life at some point failed before they became successful. And they didn't fail one time. They failed many times. I gave you the story one time of the KFC guy, Colonel, Mr. KFC, Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders failed in every business until he was 60-something years of age. And then he went into this chicken business, and he had a certain recipe to fry the chicken, and he put that recipe to work, and then he started to build customer base, and he had one restaurant, and then it became popular. Then from there he went to a second restaurant, and from there, that was the making of KFC. The man was a total failure before that. He failed in everything. But he didn't turn around and say, oh, I failed 20 times, I failed in 50 businesses. No, don't allow that to come into your mind. Failure is the path to successfulness. Let me say that again. Failure is a path to successfulness. And on another note, Thomas Edison, he failed 1,000 times before he succeeded in finding the right filament for his bulb project. He failed 1,000 times, by the way. And you know what he said? He said, those were 1,000 retries, 1,000 tests before I got to the right successful test. So turn it around and tell yourself that your failure is making you a better man, is making you a better person. Always tell yourself in a positive way that you're becoming a better person, okay? And God will always hold you by the hand, and God will lead you by the hand, just like a son to a father to a son. So, looking at the bronze laver, the bronze laver was, if you don't know, maybe it's written that it was made from women's mirrors. Women had mirrors in those days, and they gave those mirrors to make the bronze laver, which means that their mirrors were made of bronze. And so they gave up their mirrors, and the bronze laver was made for washing of hands and, of course, of feet as well. So that was for the, tent of the meetings. And then God really speaks about these different things, what to do and what not to do, etc. in this particular portion of Torah. And one thing I'm going to tell you, and I want you to do this every day, is light a fire. Like I said last time as well, take an oil lamp, light it up, and just walk through your room. Make sure you're safe. You put it on a plate, it doesn't fall on your carpet or floor. You put oil in it, preferably olive oil, and you walk through the room while it's just lit up, and let the smoke just enter your home, your kitchen, your bathroom, your living room, and then you light it up for about 5-10 minutes. Then after that, after 5-10 minutes, you can close the light, and that's good enough. Try to do that once a day. Lighting the fire is good to bring abundance. I keep telling you this. Why? Because we did this in the temple every day. We lit a menorah, a light. Doesn't matter if it was 7 candelabras or not. Doesn't matter if it was 7, 10, 15. Who cares how many it was? The point is, it was a light. It was fire. Fire brings in abundance, so do that in your homes, and it will help you. So, other than that, I wanted to go and again come back to, let me take you back to Isaiah chapter 11, and I wanted to make one point. which I think is very relevant. Isaiah chapter 11. No, I think I've gone past it. Isaiah chapter 11. Yeah, here it is. Now, the problem with Isaiah chapter 11 is that we are the ones who look at it wrong. Because it says, there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, Yeshai, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Now, what is that branch? Immediately, that branch is King David, not some Messiah in the distant future. But again, what happens with Judaism's rabbis, where it says King David is going to be raised, they make it sound like it's a Messiah going to be raised. It says that King David will be raised. So what does King David mean? King David means King David. Well, is God short of words? Is God short of words that he will say, I will raise King David, but it actually means some far descendant of King David? No, God is very precise, and God does not make mistakes in writing, in having humans write his text under the guidance of the Spirit. It's very precise. God does not make mistakes. God doesn't need to say King David will be raised and it means the Messiah. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. That's just Judaism's cop-out. Judaism's cop-out is exactly that. They make it sound like something else. So when I read this passage, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Yeshai, Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Ruach HaKodesh of Yud-Heh-Vah shall rest upon him, the Ruach of Chuchmah, Bina, counsel, Ruach of counsel, and Gevurah, might, and Ruach of Da'at, knowledge, and the fear of Yud-Heh-Vah, and shall make him of quick understanding. Okay? So, instantly people jump to the conclusion it's the Messiah. I'm sorry, there's nothing to do with the Messiah. It's to do with King David. King David was a son of Jesse. So it's talking about Jesse having all those attributes. If Jesse didn't have those attributes, then King David. If King David didn't have those attributes, King David would not be the king. He has no right to be the king because he doesn't have wisdom. He doesn't have the fear of the Lord. So what does it mean? Immediately, the passage has got nothing to do with the Messiah in the future. It's everything to do with King David. So in the first instance, the passage fits with King David. In the second instance, we can apply to some future son of, King David's line, the line of Judah. And so therefore, this is why I'm very careful not to just misread, like in the past, you get colored by Judaism or some other faction, of Judaism, and you think this is the right way. That's not always the right way. Because if you read in passage in chapter 11 of verse 6, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall crouch down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed, the young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. See, they shall not hurt nor destroy in my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yud-Heh-Vah, as the waters covers the sea. So again, what we find, immediately the passage speaks about King David, but then suddenly it switches and it starts to speak about the future king of Israel. Who is the future king of Israel? The Messiah. A king is a Messiah figure. So first is King David is a Messiah. Second Messiah is yet to come. This is how we read the passages. This is how we make the correct correlation, and we don't misapply passages from one to the other. And because in Judaism, like I said, it's a cop-out, because you try to apply passages from one to the other simultaneously. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry, this is not how we read passages. Because when you read passages in the Torah, like you read about Abraham's wife being taken away, and the next minute it says, and Abimelech saw a dream, and then he sent her back, it doesn't mean it happened in 2 minutes or the next day. It didn't happen in 2 days. It actually took 2 years. So we got to look at the passages properly, with a proper spirit and the proper understanding. So this passage in Isaiah chapter 11 is talking about not only the present Messiah to be born, which is King David, but also the future Messiah, which is yet future. Because clearly King David, in King David's time, the leopard did not crouch down with a young goat. So it didn't apply to him. But King David had the other attributes. He had the attribute of Bina. He had the attribute of Gevurah. He was very strong. He, knocked down giants in his time. He had Bina, understanding. He was able to make sound judgment. He had the Spirit of God resting upon him, which led him to not to kill Saul, who was his enemy, because he had the spirit of understanding and wisdom. So this is why we can't say, oh, no, these are only for the future Messiah. No, because they were for the present Messiah, which was King David, and then the future Messiah. Talking about the different elements of the Sephirotic tree, where the Messiah becomes a middle pillar. It says, in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for a banner of the people. It shall be the nations seek. Who are the nations? Goyim. Who do the Goyims right now worship? Jesus. Majority of the Goyim don't worship Moses. They worship Jesus. So therefore, this verse 10 in Isaiah chapter 11 correctly points to the future of Jesus, Yeshua of Nazareth. It says, it shall come to pass in that day that Yudhe shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Mitzrayim, from Egypt. Well, that hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting. So, we're going to go through some pain, we're going to go through some struggles, and then in the end, God's going to gather us back and take us back home. So that all's going to happen in the next, coming days, coming years. We don't know exactly what year, but we know it will happen. We know God is truthful. We know God does not lie. And we know we can rely on God for these things to take place. And you can rest assured that these things will happen exactly as they say they will happen. So with that, we've got to understand that we've got to give everything in the proper context, the proper value, the proper way to look at things. Now, coming back to, let me come back to, let's see, let me go to the New Testament. Okay. Let's see, let me find the chapter 7:21. Okay, let me bring it up. 1 second. Let me pull up the passage. And let's see. In Mark chapter 11 verse 24, if I may go to that, Mark chapter 11 verse 24, hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you desire, when you petition, when you pray, believe that you receive them and you shall have them. And when you stand praying, petitioning, forgive if you have anything against any, that your Abba also which is in the Shemaim, in the heavens, may forgive you your trespasses. So what is being said over here, please do not hold unforgiveness in your heart. If you hold unforgiveness in your heart against other people, that will be a stumbling block for you to receive your manifestations. If somebody else has done you wrong, before you come to God for your manifestation, forgive that person. Even it may be a very bad act, forgive him, at least clear yourself, because by forgiving other people, you become a receiver. You open yourself up to receiving. And then what you do, it says whatever you desire when you petition. Petition means that when you close your eyes and you start imagining what you want. You start imagining and you will have it because you believe it's already yours. That's basically what that passage is saying. But it's saying that don't put stumbling block before you. Don't hold grudges against other people. Have forgiveness forgive other people first. Then come before God. And then God will hear your plea. Maybe somewhere along your heart, and I'm not saying that you're guilty of this, but I'm just asking the question, maybe somewhere in your heart that you hold some unforgiveness against some individual that I think you need to let go. If you're finding that your manifestation is not coming to pass, stand before God and seek forgiveness and say to God, or say, I forgive everybody or anybody that's done me wrong. I forgive them all and I move on and I come before you with a clean heart. And now you start to imagine, and now you start to become a receiver. You start to become higher frequency, and you start to receive what you desire because now you've forgiven everybody. Sure, I'm not saying that the forgiveness doesn't mean that those people don't get punished. They will still get punished for their crimes. But you have freed yourself from the guilt, that you are not going to carry that guilt like a, like a ton of, a ton of metal on you. Like a chain. You're not going to carry that chain of unforgiveness on you. So every time you go forward, the chain, is behind you and you're going to drag it with you. So you're not going to do that. So first of all, before you do your imaginative act, your robotic affirmation or your writing or whatever, make sure that just for one time, forgive everybody. Forgive everybody in the past that did you wrong, and now you come before God and you will start to receive your desires. Because that may be the only thing. And if you just repeat, sometimes it's very good to repeat the prayer of forgiveness. And the prayer of forgiveness is, Lord, forgive me. Lord, please forgive me for any mistakes. 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 You do that 30, 40, 50 times or more, then that raises your vibration, your frequency. You become a good receiver. And then you're good to go. This is why I encourage you to do that, all of you to do that before you come before God for your prayers, for your desires. Sit down, and maybe you're holding your beads, and maybe you run one set of beads 100 times, going through seeking forgiveness. Lord, forgive me that I forgot, that I held grudges in my heart for other people, neighbors, maybe friends, maybe relatives, brother, sister, whoever. I'm also there. It's not that I'm asking you. I also held grudges against my family because they did me wrong. But again, I forgive them and I move on. So, I come before God and I say, Lord, forgive me because I held grudges against my family. I let go of all those grudges. I forgive them, but I still won't have anything to do with them. I'm not going to, doesn't mean that my relationship is going to be restored with them. I don't want to have nothing to do with them. I forgive them and I move on. And I give all of that to the Lord. I give that to the Master. I give that to the Master and He will deal with it. So I say to the Master, I give it all to you. I forgive all my family that did wrong against me years ago. I forgive them and I pass them to you. And I move on and I thank you that I'm clear of the guilt that I had to carry because of my, my grudges or whatever it was against them. So, whatever wrongs they did against me, I forgive them. I move on. I'm now a clean man. I wash my hands. I'm a clean man, clean heart. And now I come before the Master and I ask for my desire to be fulfilled. So that's how you go to do it. So with that, like I said, stick with me. Don't be angry, because we have to look at scriptures and we have to re-find what we're trying to discover, because it's a learning process. It doesn't mean that now I'm believing in Jesus and 3 minutes later I'm not. No. the situation that was built back in 2015 happened as a result of my visit to Israel back in 2014, when I visited Israel and I sat with different people, and there was a question of the messiahship of Jesus, and we had a lot of discussions, a lot of reading of different scriptures, but we couldn't get a clear answer. Perhaps we were spiritually not able to see it at that point. And then if the Lord comes and speaks to me, then that means the Lord comes and speaks to me. That means the Lord still has me in his hands, because he told me 26 years ago when I asked him, what about my family? After all the conversation I had with him, he said to me, I have you in my hand. I said, what will happen? He said, I will walk with you to the rest, I will be with you to the end of the world, to the end of the age. So don't worry about anything. And so that doesn't mean that because, for a few years I kind of departed and I started to follow Torah, suddenly I become a sinner. No, it doesn't mean you became a sinner. You were still right. You still follow Torah. God still reward you for that. But it means that you questioned as a human being, just like John questioned, are you the Messiah? And he says, yes, look at my fruit, and you will know that I am the Messiah. And so John said, okay, and they continued to follow him. Similarly, we can have the same thing. I mean, what about Peter? Peter denied Jesus 3 times, remember? Peter was told that you will deny me 3 times. And Peter said, no, Lord, it can never be. But then he denied him. And then later, he felt sorry and he cried when he was reminded of that event. So similarly, we are human beings, and we were not with Jesus. We were not with him in Jerusalem when he was doing the miracles. We only read about the miracles. And some of us saw those similar miracles in our life. So now we can't deny those miracles in our life. I can't deny the miracle that he did for me 3 days ago. I can't deny that. Right? And therefore, I'm not going to give up on Jesus. I'm going to follow him no matter what. End of story. I'm going to follow him all the rest of my life, because that's what I told him. I told him that if you deal with my problem and you fix it, I'm going to follow you for the rest of my days, no matter what happens from here on. I'm never going to question you again. And perhaps, I was speaking to a friend about this, and my friend said to me that all this happened, this temporary unbelief that you had with Jesus, all that happened was that you were going through a trial and a test, and you were like the prodigal son, but you came back to him, and you kind of seek forgiveness, and you seek the right way, and God gave you the right way. It's not like we became sinners and we were not typically like the prodigal son. We didn't go out there and sit with whores and drink alcohol and all that. No, we didn't do any of that. We were still in Torah, by the way. We were still in Torah. We were still righteous. But we just had questions. And those questions God has answered, and God is continuing to answer. So rest assured, you're not following some cult leader. I'm not some cult leader. I believe in Jesus. I believe that he is the Messiah. And I believe that we will get better knowledge and better understanding and better relationship with him. As we follow him, as we obey what's in the scriptures, we will get better relationship and we'll get better lives as we go along. All of you that follow the Torah are righteous men and righteous women. You are the sons of Abraham and the daughters of Abraham. So rest assured, you did nothing wrong for a moment. But if you didn't believe in Jesus, did God take your salvation away? No, he didn't take your salvation away. Your salvation is already mandated in a covenant. You are already saved. Nothing can question that, because you are in a covenant with God. We believe in a covenant God. So our salvation is mandated. Now with Jesus, we got the opportunity to get a better relationship with God. And Baruch Hashem for that. I said Baruch Hashem to that, and Baruch Hashem to that. So with that, I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for the time you've given me. And let's continue to follow and obey the Lord and obey the Master, Yeshua. And may it go well for all of you. May the Lord bless you all and keep you safe and watch over you and safeguard you and keep you and your families safe. Baruch Hashem, may his name be praised. Amen. We amen. Shabbat Shalom to you.